Oh man, it's Monday, the 26th March 2018, and you find me same scenario from behind the wheel, and I really don't have much planned or much thought of right now. I got we'll start the day with activity. I got two appointments today. Two appointments. That's neither good nor bad, I say, because nothing is either good or bad. But the weekend was filled with studying and I guess that's all I'm gonna get into. It was studying, man. Like I realized that I've been studying improperly. I've been watching YouTube videos to help me to figure out studying techniques a little bit more efficiently. And I read that we read textbooks wrong. A lot of times we try to read a textbook like a novel, when in essence we should actually skim the textbook for the headlines, if you will, prior to actually piquing interest and searching for the answers to those headlines and keywords that you see. And I found that to be more efficient, like in how I'm looking at things. And maybe I'm just slow to the plate, but I had never looked at studying and reading the textbook like that, to be honest. I mean, even if I did, like I did it with a feeling of guilt, because I thought that I wasn't doing things properly in that way. But it turns out that that may be in fact a better technique. I don't know if you can hear this music. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. So yeah, I started that. What else? In one of my videos, I felt the need, I felt like I didn't touch on something. I was talking about, I said the flakes come out on Friday, but which they do. That's not false news. The flakes do come out on Friday, but the flakes are out all the time, man. And I don't think people really understand the ramifications of being a flake, because it just messes. It's like the butterfly effect, because we normalize flaking, kind of like we normalize drinking alcohol excessively. Being a flake or excessively overindulging in anything is not a good thing. And I recognized flakes early on in life, but I just didn't realize to the degree in which they existed. I used to joke around with a few of my friends back in the day about being flaky and things of that nature. And while it annoyed me, kind of, it didn't really grind my gears or anything. But it does make life a little bit tougher being a flake, because people say things and don't mean them, and say things and don't show up, and say things and don't fulfill. It makes life a little bit more difficult. And I think the more attention we bring to the fact that flaking isn't normal and isn't welcomed, I think the more people will kind of subdue it, if you will. I don't think it'll ever go away. It's always going to be those folks that are a little flaky, if you will. But we can at least subdue it and minimalize it, or not minimalize it. We'll say minimize it, because we'll say minimize it. Minimize the output, if you will, or the lack thereof. But yeah, I'm actually approaching like one of my favorite, well, at this point in time, because it'll change over time, and there'll be views that are much better than this one. But there's this this roundabout where the 202 East meets the 51 South, and I don't know why, it's just like super peaceful, man. You see South Mountain in the background, you look to the right, you see like downtown Phoenix, the skyscrapers of Phoenix, Arizona, and then there's the airport view, and you always see like at least like a few planes in the sky, and you know, air traffic control, a couple bridges. It's just like so much beauty that we just like take for granted. All the palm trees, you know, it's mountain, layers of mountains like all over. You know, you got South Mountain, and you got Camelback, and like it's crazy. It's like Papago. It's like it's really beautiful if you take it all in. And I feel like, you know, with the phones, and you know, I'm not one of those like old men like get off my grass, but I mean, like with the phones are like one of the greatest advantages that we have right now. It's like a personal assistant / daily planner / phone / newspaper / book / social media atrocity, you know. And then it has the negative aspects as well, which I got to towards the end of that. And you know, I just feel like we have our heads down like so much now. You know, we've always had our heads down. There was always multitasking going on, you know, whether it was somebody looking at their daily planner or looking at a book or looking at a cell phone. You know, it's all taking us away from the present moment and interactions. I feel like interactions are a lost commodity these days because we're so tight with our core, you know, our to quote Meet the Parents and Robert De Niro, you know, the circle of trust. You know, we have this circle of trust now, and with the constant lack of disconnection, you know, you just hold this circle of trust, and you don't necessarily, well, I'll say you're not always necessarily present in the moment to recognize potential new additions to the circle of trust. I know that guy. Huh. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, like having our heads down just like takes us away from, you know, meeting new people and building new relationships and just being personable and noticing things that you can, you know, either observe or talk through that will I'm just making sure that I knew who I knew in this truck here. But anyway, observe things that may help you. I don't even know if I continue where I left off, but having your head up and focused around, like, you know, you're just able to take in everything that's going on, see things that you never knew existed because your head was down or focused on something, you know. And I found that I make it a point, and this may seem elementary, but like when I'm walking, not just driving, but walking, I focus on everything around me. I focus on walking. You know, I find, I mean, like we see the pictures, and like we make the generalizations, and, you know, observe people always on their phones and like walking and texting, you know, walking and reading and walking and making a sale, you know, walking and doing whatever you're doing with someone that's not there. You know, when it's all this opportunity to meet people that, you know, that may be like, you know, super advantageous to you, you know. And I've just made it a point to like be present, more present in the moment than I've ever been. And I'd like to think that most people have noticed that in the past, that I've been present in the moment, but I recognize that I was still not working to quote unquote perfection, you know. And I've taken it a step further. So I'm able to take in like everything that's going on, and I think that more of us should do that. You know, for instance, like on this ride to work here, I specifically go a way that's not the fastest way to work, because it provides me, you know, with this fantastic calmness that I don't get going other ways. Like, I found like there are 3 ways to get where I'm going, you know, and this is life advice right here. There are 3 ways to get where I'm going. You know, in life there is like much more than 3. But in my analogy, there are 3 ways to get to my office. 3 ways that make sense to me. And, you know, one gets me there fast. One gets me there fast, but there's some unknown, because there's always like a traffic jam or construction or whatever. And then this way that provides me, it's a little bit slower, but I still get there like within within a few minutes, within 3 to 5 minutes. And it just like, it's peaceful. You know, it's the road less traveled, if you will. And in life, we have to figure out which route will get us. I put a T at the end of us. But we have to figure out which route will get us to our destination the ideal way. It's not about speeding. It's not about speed. It's not about time. You know, because we get caught up in the life being a destination. You know, and I think it's been said a few times. I know that India.Arie made a song about it. And life is a journey, not a destination. You know, and it truly is, man. And the more we get out of like this destination, I think the more happy and content you'll be with what you have. You know, stop striving for, you know, something tangible, and realize that your life is actually defined by this moment, as an example that I'm sharing with you. You know, life is defined by what you're doing, you know, at a given time, rather than, you know, oh, just when I get this promotion, or, you know, when I find my spouse, or when I buy this house, or, you know, when I get this car that I want, or whatever the case may be. Like, I have this great friend that that'll probably come and join me on one of these videos in some way one day. But I asked him for some pretty specific advice one time, and recently, and he said, if somebody asked you that same question, what advice would you give them? You know, like in essence, like what advice would you give yourself? And I thought about it, and I feel like I gave myself some great advice. Like, I'm not gonna like toot my own horn, but I mean, like only you can make the decisions that matter in your life. You know, you can take feedback and you can get some constructive criticism and some, you know, pros and cons, but at the end of the day, you know, you create the T-chart, if you will, with the pros and the cons, you know. And you know, you give yourself potentially the best or the worst advice. And I've been incorporating that a lot more in my life. I will you know, if there's any problem that I'm facing and I'm looking for some sort of advice, I just ask myself, like, if like one of my, you know, like if my you know, I'm a mentor, so if my mentee had asked me this question, or, you know, if a client, or, you know, a prospective client asked me this question, like, how would I respond? And man, it's like made a shift in my life. I don't know why. Like, it seems basic, you know, but how often do you say, like, you know, what advice would you give someone else in your own shoes? This is my favorite spot here. You can't see it, and it's fine, because I don't want you to actually know and be able to pinpoint where I'm going, even though you can probably find me by geotagging, and I'm sure somebody can pick up some some things in the windows. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, what advice would you give yourself? And it's funny because like this is probably like, I mean, before I rewatch or watch this video, based on the information and the content that I think that I shared, might be my favorite one so far. But yeah, so I'm approaching where my destination. I had to move over so my beard could be the background for the timer on my camera, on my video camera, which is also my phone. And because it's white, and with the sun right here, it's like right here, and it's like white, you know, whited out because of the brightness. So I had to move my beard. Anyway, I digress. I think that was good information to share, though. Might get a laugh. I'm always about the laughs. I love garnering laughs. But you know, I hope everybody has a good day. Hope everybody was able to pull something from this conversation. I think that you know, whether you got a lot or a little bit, I think you can pull something from every interaction that you have. And that's my challenge to people. Instead of talking about, you know, how something wasted your time, take the time to try to find something that was actually learned, or a nugget from the interaction. Does that make sense? So as opposed to complaining about how something wasn't as good as you imagined, just talk about what was actually like a tidbit. And that tidbit could even be, you know, what not to do, you know, or like, you know, I learned not to do that myself. You know, you know, somebody else bumped their head so that you don't have to bump your own. But try to put that positive spin on it. All right, team. I'm out. I've talked long enough. It's been 17 minutes. This is my longest video so far. Talk to you soon. You gotta bear with me here though, because I gotta get to a point where I can stop the video. Ha! Here we go. Deuce. I don't know why I said that.